Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. I kind of feel like every time we do a film I've got to apologise for not having had much activity on the build, I guess, in the last few months. I've got a pretty good excuse this time. I started a new business about 3 months ago, and as you can imagine, it's been incredibly busy. So, but anyway, the build's always on my mind, and I actually have been getting down here and doing, you know, the odd hour here and there, but nothing worth probably making a film about. So I've got a couple of things in front of you that shows that I am making progress. So these are the end struts, you know, one of the iconic elements of the wing. Sanding, filling, sanding, fillings, that's ready to go and ready for a coat of paint. This is one of the other struts. Looks a bit rough at the moment, only because I just gave it a wet sand, but as you can see, it's been resin covered. It looks like it's metal, even though it's just wood and the metal from the strut. But that's coming along really nicely. But listen, the big news is, firstly, if you can hear me much more clearly, you can see we've actually invested in upgrading some of our camera and audio equipment. So we've now got finally a proper Bluetooth mic. So hopefully you all enjoy that. This time we're actually filming on a phone rather than a GoPro. So we wanted to do an experiment to see how clear it is. But as you can see laid out in front of me, you can tell what stage we're up to. Finally, we've got to get this covering on. These are the lower wings. This is the lozenge covering we've been talking about. I'm not sure whether I've shown you this, but look, I actually had a seamstress sew the lozenge together, which is what that seam is there. And so when it lies across the wing like that, it'll look like the full-size one. I thought about sewing both types of the lozenge together so that you'd see a seam across the leading edge like that, but in the end, I didn't really trust my ability to line it all up, and I thought better just to sort of have the flexibility to be able to do the bottom colour first, which is the pinky one, and then the darker version next. So I know one of our viewers out there who knows a hell of a lot about this stuff, Jeff Brooks, who's actually built himself a full-size Fokker D.VII, and he flies it around, and you can actually look him up on YouTube. So it's Jeff, J-E-F-F, Brooks, B-R-O-O-K-S. And so he was encouraging me to sew it as much as I possibly could, but in the end I just decided that I wanted that extra flexibility. So listen, that's enough from me right now. Oh, you can also see the other bits and pieces I've got sitting on the table here. The Aleen's tacky glue, which is what we use to stick the fabric down on the balsa, which works so well. I've got my Friska's roller cutter, which is incredibly useful when you're working with fabric. And then over here, this is sort of the big unknown. So you might have heard me in previous videos talking about the fact that I was struggling to get my hands on some more SIG dope. So that solution, that shortage hasn't been solved in Australia, so there's actually no dope here at all. So I ended up finding, thanks to actually a recommendation from someone online, a company in Western Sydney that actually makes dopes. So this company is called Phoenix. I've never used it before. I ended up getting some nitrate dope and some butyrate dope, which is what I used for the previous covering. So it's going to be a big experiment to see how this stuff reacts versus what I've been using previously. But at the end of the day, it's time to start making some progress on this build. So we'll see you again shortly. Hey everyone, I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of our new subscribers. It's quite unbelievable to think, but we've now got over 3,000 subscribers to the channel. If you're watching this video and you're not currently a subscriber, please click the subscribe button because it really helps the growth of the channel. And so welcome if you're brand new, and please enjoy the journey. Hey everyone, I just thought I'd take this opportunity just to talk about painting and finishing generally. Also, the other thing I really wanted to touch on was, I know when you look at these videos, you probably think that everything always works out for me and I never make any mistakes, but you know, I had a really big disastrous mistake last weekend that really got me incredibly downhearted about the whole thing. But what are you going to do? You just have to pick yourself up and push on. So painting, I think the big element that people underestimate with painting, we all know about preparation and sanding and all that sort of stuff, but I think the temperature and the climate when you're actually painting makes a huge difference. So as you can see up here, it's so important to me now that I've actually put a temperature gauge in the garage just so that I can see what the temperature is before I decide to start painting. So you've heard me talk a lot about the side panels, so here they are. So last weekend, there I was getting ready to put like the final coat of black on the side panels using this Rust-Oleum stuff. So this is not a knock on Rust-Oleum. I've used this stuff really successfully for years and years and years. I think it was probably more about the temperature conditions or whether I let the previous coat dry well enough for a whole bunch of reasons. But as you can see, I went to paint the last coat and all the black, it wrinkled and just made an absolute mess. So the only choice I've got now is just basically to sand all that off and start again. So it's a bit of a downer. I actually sanded this one off and painted it by hand using the acrylic paint, or as Americans call it, the latex paint, and that's actually looking a lot better. So I've got to give that a bit of a wet sand and give it another coat, but I think that's the way to go. So just about paints as well. What I've done for this project is I've actually gone and gotten the Tamiya colours. So Tamiya are a great quality paints from the model shop. And then I made these swatches. And once I got the absolute colours that I thought were correct for this particular model, then I went off to the hardware store and I just got some typical house paint, acrylic paint, mixed up and colour matched. And so in the end, the actual colours that we ended up getting are an absolute perfect match to these colour swatches. So, you know, this stuff's obviously cheaper to buy in bulk. It's also really easy to apply, and there's a whole bunch of technology that goes into these modern house paints. So I think that's really the way to go. So I'm just about to finish off painting this end strut. There's been a lot of work that's gone into this, all the sanding and undercoating and everything else, but I'm really happy with the way that's looking. This was also a really big element in trying to make the plane look as scale as possible. See how I've actually embedded this servo plug into the inside of this strut. So once it's all on the plane, and that goes up into the wing, that goes into the fuselage, you really won't see any servo wires, which I think is just going to make for a better job. So anyway, I just thought it would be worthwhile talking about painting and preparation and stuff like that. So make sure your temperatures are right before you go and start doing your painting and your finishing, and hopefully you get a really good job. Okay, let's sum up the work from the last couple of weekends. So as you can see, the top layer is on now. I'm really happy with the way it's gone on. You can see there's a really lovely edge along the front here, so that took a bit of work to get it like that. You can see the contrast now between the light pink on the bottom and the dark on the top. I love this color scheme. This is particularly tricky. Every time you try and bend the fabric around corners like that, it's hard to do. So really happy with the way that's worked out. Don't worry about this. This is all going to be stuck down with the dope when we do the next phase. The seam looks really cool across here. The cutouts for the strut supports came together really well. The only thing I've got left to do, you can see here, is there's a bit of work to do in folding the lozenge stuff over around the scallops, or scallops depending on where you are in the world. So that's probably going to take a couple of hours worth of work, but for what it's looking like right now, I think we're basically on the home stretch. So really happy with that. As you know, the next phase now is to start applying the dope. So we've got all of the new types of dope over here. So that's going to be an interesting experiment. So yeah, feeling pretty good. That was basically 2 weekends worth of work that you've seen in this film, but great to finally get some quality time back on the build. So hope everything's great where you are in the world, and we'll see you on the next one.
Running away is easy. It's the leaving that's hard.